Hey guys, Bodhi here from Pierce Baker Studios bringing you another video. Today I'm going to be reviewing Fury 325 located at Carowinds. This is a 325 foot tall Giga coaster, which is one of the tallest roller coasters in the world. I believe it is in the top 10. It is the tallest roller coaster with a regular chain lift hill, which is absolutely insane. A couple fun facts about this ride. This ride is very close to my heart as it was my first ever 100% number one roller coaster. Like, this was my favorite roller coaster for 3 to 4 years in a row. I absolutely love this ride. It also goes in between North and South Carolina during the ride. The lift hill goes in North Carolina, and then the rest of the layout actually takes place in South Carolina, which is pretty cool. In this review, I'm going to break down the POV exactly what you're going to experience on this ride, and I'm going to rank it off some categories. Let's start with the POV. So first, Fury is just going to have a little straightaway past the transfer track where the trains go at night, and then you are going to go on up your 325 foot tall lift hill. You're going to hear this really cool voice that's going to say, like,
your hands, arms, feet, and legs inside the ride at all times. Sit in an upright seated position facing forward with your back and shoulders against the seat back. Hold on to the handlebar until the end of the ride. Thank you and enjoy Fury 325.
But it's cool. It really gets you amped up for the ride, and I'm really happy they've kept it all these years. Once you reach the top, you don't get held or anything. You just drop 325 feet. I absolutely love this drop. It is one of, if not my favorite drops I've ever experienced. It feels like it goes on forever. You get that one feeling in your stomach for quite a bit. You get some airtime in the back row. It's an absolutely amazing drop, and you have to experience it at least once in your life, especially if you're new here. Then you are, of course, going to pull out and then going into the barrel turn. In an interview I watched about this ride, B&M said they could have made this thing like 290, maybe even 300 feet tall, but they kept it just around the 200 foot mark, so you would really race through this barrel turn, and it absolutely shows. This element is surprisingly intense. Most B&M coasters just kind of wander around the layout and go up really tall, get slow, and then go back down and gain speed. This thing you really kind of haul butt through. And if you really look at it, you would just notice it is about as tall as Intimidator in the same park. And then next, you're going to stay pretty low to the ground into these two little turns. Notably, in the first turn, there was a crack in the support beam a couple years ago, which has since been fixed. Then you go over the turn over the front entrance, which I absolutely love how this thing interacts with the front entrance. Then you're going to go into the famous treble clef element. If you look at this ride from the right angle, this element does look like a treble clef, like the music note, which is pretty cool, and it's actually a really intense element. Sometimes if you haven't eaten in a while, you will gray out on this element if the ride is running really fast. And then you're going to make your way down back under the park entrance in a tunnel, which they usually have some lights going down there. It's pretty cool. Then here is the part of the ride that I don't love as much. It's still cool, but it just doesn't live up to the rest of it. You're going to go into this turn, and then this little bit of straight track that has always just annoyed me. I really think they could have done something here, whether it was a ejector airtime hill or even just like another kind of small helix that would really pull some force. I think they really should have done something here, not just some straight track. If they really needed to burn off speed, they could have done a helix instead of the trim brake that you're going to hit up this airtime hill right here. This airtime hill is definitely the best airtime hill of the ride. It gives some great airtime floater, sometimes flowjector, but mostly just floater, but this airtime hill always hits. Then you kind of have a boring helix. I think this helix should have either been a different element, like maybe a wave turn back to back, or even if the helix was just a little bit more compact, I think it could have made this element quite a bit better. Notably, there is a hand chopper on this side of the helix, which is pretty cool. Most people, if they have their hands up during this ride, they will take them down right here. You're going to go into two more airtime hills, which aren't as good as the one before it, but they're still pretty good. They definitely give some floater airtime. They're not airtimeless hills. And then you're going to go right into the brake run. Now I'm going to rank the ride off of these categories, starting with smoothness. This is how rough or smooth the ride feels. I'm going to give Fury 325 a 9 out of 10 here. This thing is pretty smooth. It is very comfortable. It does have a little B&M rattle, but I mean, come on. This thing goes 95 miles per hour at least, and it is 325 feet in the air. Trains diving down that drop every single day has to take a toll, and the fact that it is not rough by now is a great feat of engineering. Is it silky smooth? No. It does have a very small B&M rattle, but it does not take away from the ride experience, so I'm giving it a 9 out of 10 for smoothness. Next we have intensity, how powerful the forces are. Once again, I am giving the ride a 9 out of 10 here. The ride is very intense, it's very fast, all that kind of stuff. However, there are those little bits where I do think they could have made a couple adjustments to the ride that much better, so that's why it's getting a 9. Next we have the layout and elements, how fun and well designed the ride is. Once again, I'm like a broken record, I'm giving the ride a 9 out of 10. I think the people who designed this ride are brilliant, how they made it seamlessly connect to the front entrance, still making it a top 20 roller coaster in the entire world. However, like I said, it does have those few parts in the ride that do get a little bit boring. Next we have airtime, the strength and frequency of the airtime moments. I'm giving this ride a 8 out of 10. I am a sucker for airtime, and I do wish this ride had a little bit more of it. Maybe if there was like a giant airtime hill early in the ride, kind of after that barrel turn, then it went into a more intense curve that pulled some real forces into the front entrance. I think that could have been great. Or even if it was just a low to the ground speed hill going over the front entrance, that would have been great. Next, we have the length/value. I'm giving this ride a 10 out of 10 for this. This is how long the ride feels to you. Carowinds says this ride, from when it leaves the station to when it parks in the station, is 3 minutes and 25 seconds, believe it or not. I'm not sure how true that is, but it does feel like it. This does feel like a very, very long ride, which is absolutely amazing when you're going so fast. Most of the time when you're going this fast on a roller coaster, it feels like it's over pretty fast. This one does not have that problem at all. Next, we have the theming/setting, the queue area, the station, scenery, and the atmosphere of the ride. I'm giving this an 8 out of 10. This is a glorified parking lot coaster, but they've definitely dressed it up. Like I said, the designers behind this ride are absolutely amazing. However, I do wish the ride had a little bit more of a story, like an indoor queue would have been amazing, even more theming other than just the occasional little hornet here and there. Like if they had a giant hornet like in the queue, or they had more buzzing sounds around the ride, they had people telling a story of the ride, I think that would have been great. And also under the lift hill is kind of like their storage area for the entire park. Like there is still the cracked support down there. Last time I checked, there was some Nighthawk trains down there. They store a lot of Winterfest and all that kind of stuff down there. So I really wish they'd get rid of that and just make it more beautiful down there. That's why it's getting an 8 in that. Next, we have the re-rideability category. How badly do I want to re-ride it again and again after I get off? I'm giving this ride a 10 out of 10. I've ridden this thing almost 80 times in one day. This is definitely my most ridden roller coaster of all time, around 200 times. I absolutely love Fury 325 and riding the ride, and I could do this thing literally all day. My final rating for Fury 325 is, once again, a 9 out of 10. This is almost a perfect roller coaster, and that's why it's getting that score. If they made those few changes, wow, this ride could be the best in the world. A lot of people already think it is, but that would absolutely make it, no doubt, the best roller coaster in the world. Would I wait an hour for this ride? Absolutely. If you are there and there is an hour wait, that is totally fine. I mean, this is definitely the best ride in the park. I really do think this is a ride that the GP and enthusiasts alike will love. It's not too overbearing for the GP like Pantherian at King's Dominion is. This ride is just right, and most GP, when they get off the ride, will say it is their new favorite roller coaster of all time. I would absolutely recommend giving Fury 325 a ride. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I will leave a link to my merch store, and other than that, aim high, not low, and never quit. Peace.